You know something? When came up with this initial idea of Snowman in the Morning overtime, I knew it was going to be because I couldn't get enough guests fit into my regular 2 hour show, and also with the fact that my treatment for pancreatic cancer is coming up here pretty soon, and I'm going to be taping a lot of stuff in advance. I figured this would be a great idea for me to use. So to kick off this edition of the overtime, I would like to welcome someone very special who I have known for about a year, and it's taken me a while for me to get him on because, like I said, I've had my own issues here in North Carolina to deal with. And the gentleman that I have for y'all right now, and I hope I'm saying this right, is Jon Zaghloul from Sports Talk Chicago, of which I am a huge fan because of the way he brings it. John, how are you, man? Finally, I get you on the program.
Yeah, Snowman, thanks for having me on. Hope you're well and appreciate the time and the opportunity. So glad we were able to get this done.
Yeah, I'm glad too. I mean, we've been talking for about a year. A year ago, I was supposed to have you on, but then things went crazy here. So, and given the fact that you're a student and you have your own sports talk show that you do, I completely understand the crazy schedule. But again, great to have you.
Yeah, great to be here. Happy again that we found some time. Unfortunately, school is this term for me for another month. So this has been actually the calmest period of my entire year between balancing, broadcasts and my show and all that stuff. So timing was perfect, and I'm really glad we could connect and do an interview today. It should be great.
Yeah, it should be, and it will be. I caught your show where you said, "Do not start Justin Fields week 1 against the Rams." I am in total agreement. I retract my earlier statement of don't start him, and the biggest reason that was proven to me, and I said this to you last night, the offensive line or lack thereof in front of him.
Exactly. I was actually very appalled by the performance we saw on Saturday from the offensive line. You could say, and people have said, well, it's the second string. It's not the first string. Wait till he gets with the first string. Well, the point is, Larry Borom was playing. I mean, there were some actual key cogs to the offensive line playing when Fields was in, and we saw what happened. I mean, the guy was literally probably inches away from a concussion. When that helmet fell off his head, I really genuinely thought he was seriously injured. Fortunately, he got up and he was okay. Look, I just don't want this to be a Joe Burrow situation. The Bengals and Joe Burrow, I mean, I'm surprised that is not a testy relationship. Burrow was essentially trotted out there with a makeshift offensive line, one of the worst offensive lines in NFL history, mind you.
Yes.
Now the guy tears his ACL a couple of weeks in, out for the year. And, people are saying, well, he'll come back strong. Well, we don't know that. I mean, RG3 didn't come back strong. RG3 had a great rookie year, and he was primed to be great, and look what happened to him.
Exactly.
Psychologically, what kind of a role does that play, too? So I just don't think it's right to sit here and, we have to put him in, we have to put him in. I understand that Bears fans are hungry for a quarterback, but if you decide to put him in right away and then he gets hurt, you're the ones who are going to have to deal with that guilt of the idea of pushing and pushing and pushing to put him in when the fact remains that it's not needed yet. It's not necessary. Nobody expects the Bears to be a great team this year. It's been said many a time that this season is all about development. Even true Bears fans understand. I have people commenting on my program all the time. Oh, they're going to go 8-9, 7-10. So people know this won't be a great year. Why then try to push this narrative that Fields should start right away? And then have him be subject to this horrendous O-line and possible serious injury.
Yeah, and you mentioned you mentioned two perfect examples of what Justin Fields is going to. RG3 and Joe Burrow. We don't know if Joe Burrow is going to come all the way back from the injury he suffered. Part 1. Part 2, we don't know if he's going to even be able to perform and throw the ball well. And part 3, and the most important thing, we don't know if Burrow is going to be the Joe Burrow of LSU in 2019.
Exactly. I mean, we have no clue. And, and I was quote tweeted a couple of days ago by somebody actually with a blue check mark coming after me, telling me that, oh, Burrow's going to be fine. Well, you don't know that. Nobody knows if Burrow's going to be okay or not. And the psychological issue that came with that injury is going to haunt him forever. And you can't convince me otherwise. And nobody can. Imagine remembering a lineman coming at you, tearing your ACL and being down on the ground and losing your whole season. You are never going to forget that as a quarterback. I don't care how great you are or who you are. So the idea that he's just going to be okay, he'll move on, everybody moves on. Well, the Bengals' offensive line still sucks. That's a fact, and he's going to be trotted out there again for part two, and no one's learning their lesson. The Bears have a chance here to actually learn from their mistakes and learn from other people's mistakes and not make it. And unfortunately, you have a lot of people in sports media and a lot of people and fans in general, because sports media people are also fans. They want to see Justin Fields start for whatever reason. I'd rather see him sit and wait till at least they do something to the offensive line to make it a bit healthier before he comes in, because this is ridiculous what we've seen the past 2 weeks. I mean, Fields went 9 of 19 for 80 yards. I don't even blame him for that, because you know what? No time to throw the football. He was running for his life on every play, similar to Mitch Trubisky, seemed like a designed rollout. And every time he had to run away from defenders, run out of the pocket, and try and get rid of the football in time. And, to his credit, I thought he did a good job considering, the pressure that he had on him. But you can't be expecting this guy to perform when, at every juncture, there's going to be somebody running after him who needs more protection to play.
And here's the other thing, and I'll put it in the form of a question. I discussed it this morning on my show on Snowman in the Morning. If you haven't had a chance to take a look on YouTube or Facebook. How hot is Matt Nagy's seat going to be this year when it should have been frying since the double doink against Philadelphia?
It's going to be very hot. If things don't, and that's why I think Andy Dalton's going to start. And I had Mike Harmon on my program last week. He's a national host of Fox Sports Radio, brought up an outstanding point. If things start with Fields, and let's say they go 0-3, 0-4, and Fields is a dud, or Fields can't play because he has no O-line, who's going to be blamed? Nagy right away. Versus, I'll put in Dalton for a couple of games, he'll suck, then I'll put in Fields, and he'll save my job and our season. Similar to what he did last year with Mitch. To take him out, put him back in, they go 5-1 down the stretch, they make the playoffs. So Nagy has every incentive to not start Fields right away. That said, if Fields does not develop, if he is atrocious, if he throws too many picks, if he has no protection, Nagy will be blamed for that, and his job will be on the line. He has to call plays that cater to his quarterback. He obviously didn't do that with Trubisky. We saw what he's capable of on Saturday, by the way, what he could do when there's a coach who actually gives a damn about him.
True.
The same could be said here with Fields. That's why I think Nagy, there's going to be a lot of scrutiny under him. Under Ryan Pace, too, but not as much as Nagy when it comes to the development of Fields here in 2021.
Jon Zaghloul joining me here from Sports Talk Chicago here on Snowman in the Morning Overtime, which is why it's in the afternoon. I'll give you a perfect example of fans clamoring for a rookie quarterback to want in, but someone capable is already there. Go to San Francisco. Everyone wants to see Trey Lance get in the ballgame because of what he did, and him throwing 2 touchdowns against the Chargers. Look at his numbers throughout the course of the preseason. The 49ers, I believe, are doing this the right way, giving Jimmy Garoppolo a couple of series. Get your feet under you because you haven't played in almost a year. When he went down with an injury, get your feet under you. Get a couple of passes in, get a couple of series in, and when week 1 hits, we know Garoppolo is going to be the starter. Even though Kyle Shanahan had to give the media-ready quote of, I am not answering who's going to be the week 1 starter. Come on, if you look at that situation, the only thing that held San Francisco back is a litany of injuries last year.
I agree. Jimmy Garoppolo is an okay quarterback. I call him a high-tech Mitch Trubisky because he's a good game manager. Mm-hmm. I think in the long run, of course, you're going to see Trey Lance start there. And I wanted the Bears to actually take Lance more than Fields when that was going on. But they obviously, there was no way. They weren't going to trade up to get him, and I didn't suggest it either. That said, I think Trey Lance is a very talented quarterback. And, again, at this point, it's just a matter of developing the guys the right way. And I like the model that San Francisco is doing. I am not a fan of Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think he's talented. I really don't think he's that good or that great of a quarterback. I'd say at his best, he's maybe 15th in the NFL. But you know what? If you have that option available, why not use him for the first couple of games? Or even if you're going to use him for the whole year, so be it. Trey Lance had less pass attempts in college than Mitch Trubisky.
Mm-hmm.
And people forget about that. And everybody, was mad about the Mitch draft pick. So my point being, make sure that he's developed the right way. Do what you need to do to make sure that, he's not rushed into a game scenario. What Trey Lance has done in the preseason has been quite impressive. There's nothing I can take away from him there. But I'd like to see, just easing into it. There's no rush. You have Jimmy Garoppolo, so there's no rush and no need to put him in right away, like with Zach Wilson or Trevor Lawrence, where you got to put them in right away and see how they do and have them fend for themselves. You have the luxury of a veteran to put in today and then, have these guys work their way in and phase out the veteran over time. I don't see a problem with that.
I don't see that either. Let's talk some baseball. And after the walk-off home run by Tim Anderson in the Field of Dreams game, have the White Sox sputtered? Of course, but they're playing upper American League competition. They lose 2 out of 3 to Tampa. They lose 2 out of 3 to New York, who's coming on strong. You basically answered this question with a couple of videos, but I want to hear you answer it here to the baseball fans that try to chide me on me not knowing what I'm talking about. Where did the White Sox get it right, and where did the Cubs get it wrong?
Great question. The White Sox did a great job from the very beginning at committing to a good rebuild. And what they've done is they've signed all of their young guys to long, team-friendly contracts. Luis Robert was signed to an extension while he was still in AAA. And, you could say that that's premature. You don't know how he's going to develop. But the White Sox, Eloy Jimenez is locked up. Tim Anderson is locked up. All of these good young players are locked up for at least 5 more years. That's why this team, even if they do nothing this year, chances are they're going to be back next year and the year after that, the year after that. They're going to be around for a while. On the Cubs case, the core simply stopped performing. They won a World Series, they got complacent, and then the Cubs for years decided to hang on to the scraps of the core as a marketing gimmick, which I thought was a horrible idea. And, obviously launching the new TV channel, you don't want to start a rebuild in 2020 when you're launching a brand new cable television network.
Right.
So they waited till this year to do it, and now they're airing South Bend Cubs games on Marquee. It just goes to show you that the Cubs waited way too long to do anything. They held on to these scraps because they wanted to keep fans happy. They wanted to keep the bandwagon strong. And if you look at Wrigley Field today and you see how many people are showing up to games today versus how many that were in April or May, it's obvious that this whole thing was just a bandwagon phenomenon for the Cubs. And now we go back to the original fans who've been there forever, who know the team as losers and as bleacher bums and all of that stuff. So I just think it's a matter of the Cubs. They waited too long to get rid of this core and move on. And as for the White Sox, they did a great job at developing their talent and also, spending some money when necessary this past offseason. Now the rotation is one of the best in baseball.
And you just said it. The pitching rotation, one of the best in baseball. And I love the point that you made just now. And I love the point that you made when you spoke about this on your show. 5 to 7 year window with this core that is very young. In many cases, it's very, very raw, but doggone it if they don't come together. And thank you, Tony La Russa, who started his managerial career where? On the South Side in 1979. And people came after me when I initially asked, what are the White Sox doing in changing managers? But then the name Tony La Russa kept popping up. People thought I was crazy for saying it was not only a fantastic hire, but the right one. And then you repeated my sentence on your show, and I love that.
Yeah, Tony La Russa was a great hiring, and I know, you and I have agreed on that. I've seen it on YouTube, on your comments, and we've gone back and forth about it. But no, he was a great hire. The reason people didn't like him was because, he's old and, it was Ron Stork's pick. He's interfering with the team. Well, look at the team today. I don't think he's really interfered much. If anything, I think he's helped them get to this position today. And if you turn on local sports talk here in Chicago, you'll still hear the same hosts deriding Tony La Russa, despite the White Sox being 20 games over 500.
Right.
I'd love to see them deride Tony La Russa when they win a World Series. And I'd love to see what the spin on that is going to be. My point being, the same people are never going to change in their views. And even if the White Sox win a World Series, they will not change in their views, and that's okay. I have no problem with that. But you know what? You have to give the guy credit when he wins. And so far, the Sox being 20 games above 500, credit deserves to be given to Tony La Russa for that.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I'm a White Sox fan. I'm a native South Sider, and that's the team that I cheer for. And you and I have shared comments. We share the same opinions. The thing that went on with your mean Mercedes and him saying, La Russa saying, I have an office, he has a locker. Where's the lie in that statement? That was the next thing. I said that the next day after that went down. Have you heard anything about that since? Nope. Because the White Sox are playing winning baseball. They're challenging teams like the Astros. They're challenging teams like the Yankees. They're challenging teams like the Tampa Bay Rays. If I'm correct, they're one of 3 or 4 teams in the American League with plus 70 wins. Where's the problem?
There is no problem. That's exactly it. The problem is being created by people who do not enjoy or do not like to see Tony La Russa manage this team well, because all those people don't like the Reinsdorf family. And I'm not saying I'm a loyalist or anything. I'm just being unbiased here.
Right.
The fact is, no one likes what the Reinsdorfs have done to the White Sox. But now that they're actually winning, and they have done actually a fantastic job with this team and this core, no one wants to give them credit, and no one wants to give Tony La Russa credit, the 78-year-old manager who essentially came back from the dead after 2012. And again, that's fine. I understand it. But you know what? When they win a World Series, I don't want to hear the same person saying, oh, they did, and I supported the whole time, because we all know who was on from the beginning and who wasn't. When I made a video about Tony La Russa back in November, the video got 10,000 views on Twitter, and I was called tons of names.
I know it.
All this stuff.
I know it.
All these White Sox fans after me, and now they're silent because they're 20 games over 500. They'll come back when they lose in the ALCS or in the World Series, or whatever it might be. And until then, they're silent because there's nothing to complain about. And if you're looking for something to complain about, you'll find something here and there. You'll find, hey, oh, maybe you shouldn't have put in this guy, or oh, Liam Hendricks gave up a homer, Craig Kimbrell, whatever it might be. But this team is talented all around. They're a very stacked and solid group of guys. And you have to start giving the manager credit for utilizing them the right way to make sure they can succeed.
And the fact that they basically stole Cesar Hernandez from Cleveland, as well as Craig Kimbrell from the Cubs, to really load the back end of that bullpen. You're talking, like you said, John, a 5 to 7 year window. So my original prediction for the World Series this year was White Sox Giants. And you follow my stuff. You see the crazy comments I get saying there's no way those two teams are going to meet in a World Series. Well, who says it has to be this year? Look at the Giants. First team to 80 wins. White Sox are 70-plus wins. Who the hell says that they won't meet at least 2 or 3 more times, or 3 times in the Fall Classic down the road? Because the Giants are shaping their team up the same way the Chicago White Sox are.
Yeah, exactly. I like the Giants a lot. They have a ton of guys who really aren't household names, but they're performing to their credit, and surprisingly so, too. I mean, Kevin Gausman is literally a Cy Young Award candidate, and Kevin Gausman up to this season was nothing. So, he's done a great job. The Giants pitching is great. You have older guys. Buster Posey is kicking it at 35 years old, hitting 330. Brandon Belt's come back and had I think 120 OPS plus, which is great for him. Usually he's not a power hitter. And they got Chris Bryant. That's always going to help a team do something down the stretch. If anything, at least hit for average and a tiny bit of power as well. So I like the Giants. I think they're going to be a very good team to contend with. I mean, to think that the Dodgers aren't winning that division, and to think that the Padres, as of today, don't even occupy a playoff spot, goes to show you that, the Giants came to play this year, and they really put a thorn in the side of the Dodgers and the Padres. They really spoiled that party in the NL West, and they could go very far this postseason.
And just like the White Sox, the way that the Giants built that team, they built it around pitching. They got some great hitting. The White Sox and the Giants are going to be around for a while, just like Tampa Bay and Houston sticking around for a while in the American League. The fact that the Dodgers are not going to win that division, like you said, everybody said the Padres and the Dodgers were the teams to watch in the National League West. Everybody comes to me, and I said the team you need to watch in the West is not San Diego or Los Angeles. The team you need to watch is in San Francisco. And as I said, you and I have talked a lot. You've seen the comments, and people thought I was crazy. Well, look who's crazy now.
I agree with you. The Giants, I didn't see them being this good. I mean, they are just dominating, but I knew they'd be a force to be reckoned with, and you called that right away. And, the Padres, I don't really know what their problem is. It seems like offense, and bullpen issues that have really plagued them because they, on paper, they have a great rotation.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's kind of failed them as of late. It seems like everything that has been working has failed. I know Tatis just came back from the IL. But, yeah, they're not performing as well as they should be. The Dodgers go out and they spend all this money every year, and yet they're losing out. I mean, they lost
Yep.
Trevor Bauer. Who knows when he's going to come back? And
He's
obviously
not.
that's
I
somewhat of a
think
loss.
Bauer
You
is
trade for
done.
Max Scherzer, you trade for Trey Turner. Trey Turner is probably the most talented player on that roster right now.
Mm-hmm.
Cody Bellinger has just been a train wreck throughout the season.
Yep.
All the guys they've leaned on in the past, Seager and Chris Taylor, I mean, they've done nothing. The team is just a bunch of has-beens who, if you look at this roster, like let's say this was 2015 and you look at the Dodgers roster, you think, oh my goodness, this is a 110-win team. But you look at them today, it's just a bunch of old guys trying to, relive their glory. I mean, Albert Pujols is 41 years old, trying to still play with them every day. And it's like, at this point, I don't know who you're fooling here. A lot of these guys are old. A lot of them can't perform anymore, or some of them are younger, like Bellinger, who just can't perform in general. And it's very concerning for them. So they really have to watch out moving forward.
Oh, man. It's going to be a long drop down for the Dodgers. Here's the final point I'll make about the Dodgers before we close up shop here. I have a friend who has a sports talk show in Los Angeles. He's a big-time Dodger fan, and he asked me if there's a problem with the Dodgers, where do you pinpoint it? I say 4 words: no bridge to Jansen. Here's what I mean. You got guys in the rotation during the regular season that can go 6 to 7 innings. Where's inning 7? Where's inning 8 before you get to inning 9, which, of course, is Jansen?
I agree. And, Jansen, in and of himself, hasn't been the same player in a couple of years back, too. And, you got Trinan, who's been off and on. He had a great year a couple of years ago, then really did nothing last year and had ZRA shoot up. And even the rotation. I mean, the back end is still shaky. You're relying on Julio Urias, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the fact that you don't have Bauer, the fact that you just traded for Max Scherzer, it just goes to show you that they always go out to try and get these guys, and but they always suffer from injuries. The Dodgers,
Yeah,
they always have a problem with injuries. And they try to get people who are way too old and way past their prime and try to use them as a selling point, like Albert Pujols. And I know it's nice to see him still in the league, obviously a Hall of Famer. But
yes.
to sit here and say that Albert Pujols is going to make your team better, a 41-year-old Albert Pujols who could barely walk around the field, you're going to have to really do some convincing on that because I don't believe it. Cody Bellinger has been the biggest disappointment, I think, of the MLB season.
Yep.
That is a huge problem for them. And, again, these guys have to start performing for the Dodgers if they want to go anywhere in October.
Yeah. If they want to get beyond the wild card, they need to start stepping it up and putting it in high gear, and they need to put it in high gear right now. That's Jon Zaghloul, sports talk host out of my hometown of Chicago. Check him out, Sports Talk Chicago, every day. And if you want to follow him, go at JONZ Sports. I plan to have this man back on a lot more to discuss some more sports. Finally, I got him on. A pleasure to have you, my friend.
Snowman, thank you so much. Glad again that we got to do this, and I'm looking forward to our next conversation, man. Keep up the great work.
I appreciate it. That's the overtime for now. If you want to really have some fun, then all you have to do is pick up the podcast. That's where you can hear the replay. You heard and saw a couple of wrong buttons being pushed here, but pick up the podcast.